The incredible journey of Ishmael, the rejected son who discovered God's transforming voice in the third year of Jehoiakim. During the ancient times of Canaan, a boy named Ishmael traversed the sun-baked sands of Beersheba. Born to Hagar, an Egyptian maidservant, and Abraham, the revered patriarch, his life was woven into the very fabric of divine promise, yet threaded with rejection. The air trembled under the weight of his existence, a living testament to his mother's displacement, cast from the warmth of hearth because of jealousy, the bitter fruit born from Sarah's heart. As the morning sun cast luminous rays over the arid landscape, Hagar knelt in prayer, her voice a soft murmur that blended with the wind. Beneath the shade of a stunted tree, she lifted Ishmael's small hands in a tender plea to God. "What will become of us, my son?" Hagar wept, as the barren ground reflected her desolation. Here, in this wilderness, love battled against despair, the laughter of childhood fading into haunting silence as she gazed into an uncertain future. Yet amidst the shadows, God had not forgotten them. In a vivid moment that broke the silence, an angel of the Lord appeared before Ishmael, a beacon of hope in their darkest hour. "Fear not," he spoke with a voice that resonated deep within their desperate hearts, "for God hears the voice of the lad where he is." In that instant, divine assurance fell upon them, igniting a flicker of faith amidst Hagar's turmoil. As the celestial glow infleshed within the realms of the ordinary, Hagar's eyes were opened to a wondrous sight. A well of water burst forth from the earth like a heavenly gift. The dry landscape was transformed under the weight of divine provision, a symbol of a life that would soon flourish from their toil. Days flowed like the waters that coursed through the well, yet Ishmael remained aware of the stigma that enveloped him. Growing amidst a backdrop of harsh desert, he honed his skills as a skilled archer. Yet with each arrow released, his heart whispered the lingering questions of belonging. Am I merely a shadow of Isaac, the child of promise? Could my existence hold meaning beyond rejection? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. Under the vast expanse of the heavens, the winds caressed Ishmael's face, and he felt the gentle tug of God's voice urging him toward a destiny he had yet to grasp fully. "I will make you a great nation." The angel's promise echoed in his spirit, a whisper of hope in a world shaped by rejection and despair. As Ishmael stood at the precipice of uncertainty, the weight of his legacy hung heavy upon him. What awaited in the wilderness beyond, hidden in the folds of God's plan? The adventure of his life awaited to unfold, for he was not merely the son of Hagar. He was also the chosen vessel destined to influence the future generations. And so, with the first rays of dawn illuminating the path ahead, Ishmael took a step into the wilderness, a journey toward understanding his identity, a search for the truth of God's promise that would ultimately reveal the greater plan beyond the horizon. As the dawn unfurled its golden hue over the barren land, Ishmael felt a stirring deep within his being. The initial tremors of destiny coursed through him, igniting longing and purpose. Clenching his bow, he set forth on a path that twisted and turned like the very winds weaving through the fig trees, each step a commitment to embrace the journey ahead. Days melted into nights as Ishmael roamed, the vastness of the wilderness challenging his understanding of identity. As he hunted for sustenance, he encountered not only scattered animals, but also vagrant thoughts that haunted him. Is my path forever shrouded in the shadows of others' choices? He murmured aloud, the winds carrying his questions skyward. The echo of the angel's promise still lingered in his mind and stirred an ember of hope within his soul. As he traversed the rocky terrain, he stumbled upon a scene that filled his heart with a gathering of nomads, akin to travelers from a distant shore, with tents dotting the landscape like stars in the firmament. He approached cautiously, his heart a symphony of excitement and trepidation. The people looked upon him with a mixture of curiosity and warmth. One man, with a visage of wisdom etched upon his weathered face, stepped forward. "What brings you to our encampment, young man? Are you lost or seeking a new purpose?" "I seek my destiny," Ishmael replied, voice firm yet humble, "for I am the son of Hagar, cast away but filled with promises unseen." The man nodded knowingly. "Your lineage precedes you, young hunter. We have heard whisperings of a boy born from the beloved and the castaway. Such a tale holds significance within the tapestry of our spirits. Come, feast with us, and share your journey." As night fell, they gathered under the firmament's celestial canopy, sharing stories woven into the fabric of their existence. Ishmael spoke of Hagar, of hope found in despair, and of the well that birthed life where none existed. In return, they shared tales of their lineage of gods they called upon and the paths walked to reach their destinies, fueling the fire of Ishmael's own understanding as the stars twinkled overhead, illuminating faces aglow with shared dreams. Ishmael found unity among those who too were marked by longing. He pondered the nature of belonging. "Can these strangers stitch together the frayed pieces of my heart?" he thought. As if in divine response, the announcement rang: a new dawn was upon them, one filled with potential. That night, Ishmael's spirit soared, for he sensed that the unfathomable purpose God had whispered into his being was tied intricately to these souls. Yet, deeper shadows loomed within him, questions reared anew. What mark would he leave upon the world? In prayerful reflection, he fell asleep with the firmament shimmering above, and within his dreams, the figure of an angel emerged again. "Ishmael," the celestial voice resounded, "you are not forsaken, nor are you just a mere shadow. You carry within you the breath of nations, yet unheard. The sands of your journey shall remind the world of the promise that surpasses rejection." Morning light beckoned him from his slumber, and as he rose, the truth crystallized within his heart. He was destined for greatness, but the path lay ahead still cloaked in mystery. For the story of Ishmael was intertwining with a greater design, one etched in the annals of divine history beyond comprehension. As the horizon beckoned, he realized that in embracing his identity, he would ignite a legacy that transformed suffering into significance, paving the way toward the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise. What lay ahead was sealed in the mysterious tapestry of God's sovereign plan. The whispered promises would unfurl in ways yet unknown, leading Ishmael into the heart of his destiny. As the sun cast long shadows across the camp, Ishmael pondered the kindness of the nomads who welcomed him. Deep within him, a wellspring of courage began to rise, urging him to embrace the unfolding destiny that wove through his veins. Yet uncertainty still lingered like a distant storm cloud, and he found himself seeking the voice of the Almighty amidst the whispers of the night. That day, the head of the nomads, whose name was Eliab, beckoned Ishmael to accompany him on a journey to a nearby oasis. "You must see the waters that flow like a promise, young one," Eliab said, his eyes gleaming with an ancient wisdom. Together they traversed the arid landscape, and as they approached the oasis, the air grew cool and fragrant with life. Palm trees swayed gently, while the melodious sound of bubbling water echoed the songs of creation. Ishmael, heart filled with reverence, knelt by the water's edge, cupping it in his hands. "O Lord, here I stand upon the ground of your mercy," he whispered, feeling the cool liquid seep through his fingers like the grace of God. Eliab smiled knowingly. "The Lord has led many to this place, seeking refuge from their sorrows. You too are drawn here for a purpose, Ishmael. Know that each drop of water speaks of the sovereign hand that guides our lives." Thirst quenched and spirit revived, Ishmael and Eliab returned to the camp, where the nomads gathered around a roaring fire, sharing tales and laughter beneath the vast expanse of stars. As they exchanged stories of old, Ishmael revealed his lineage from Hagar and the trials that shaped his existence. "I have wandered far," he spoke solemnly, yearning for a place to call home, to find significance among a people. Eliab rose, his voice ringing clear. "You were cast away, yet God has not forgotten you. As it is written, the Lord hears the needy and does not despise his captive people." Psalm 69, verse 33. Your journey is not in vain. Even in the desolate places, he weaves beauty from ashes. Unbeknownst to those gathered, a deeper divine movement surged within the heavens. An angelic host watched over Ishmael, marveling at how he sought to fulfill the purpose carved into his life. From the distance, the night shimmered with impending revelation. As they prepared for sleep, Ishmael reflected on Eliab's words, stirring within him a deeper understanding of hope. Was it possible that the bonds of kinship he sought could emerge from the very community around him? In the quiet hours of the night, as shadows folded into silence, Ishmael's heart was pierced by a vision unlike any other. The angel stood before him, radiant and glorious. "Ishmael, hear the word of the Lord." The voice rolled like thunder, yet soothed like a gentle breeze. "You bear a legacy that will flourish, for nations will spring forth from you, and kings shall rise from your line." "I am not worthy," Ishmael breathed, the weight of the promise heavy upon his shoulders. "How can I, a mere wanderer, carry such a calling?" "Remember," the angel replied, "it is not by your strength nor wisdom, but through the grace of God that your legacy will be forged. Embrace the identity bestowed upon you, for it is woven into the fabric of history. Your tears have not gone unnoticed, and from your sorrow, great joy shall emerge." Awakened by the power of this vow, Ishmael rose with the first light of dawn filtering through the mist. The challenges ahead remained, yet no longer would he be merely a shadow. As he gazed forth upon the horizon, a question nestled firmly in his heart. What extraordinary purpose awaited him, hidden within the mysterious tapestry of the Almighty's plan? As the dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of gold and lavender, Ishmael felt a stirring deep within his spirit. The words of the angel echoed in his heart, carrying the weight of destiny. He stood at the threshold of his future, gazing towards the horizon where the sun renewed the earth, just as God intended to renew him. Eliab approached, serene yet purposeful, recognizing the change in Ishmael. "The morning greets us with purpose, Ishmael. The time has come to discover what the Lord has laid before you." With a nod, Ishmael felt a sense of kinship, a bond growing with Eliab and his people. It was as though the Almighty weaved this moment into the very fabric of his being. "Where shall we go?" Ishmael inquired, his voice brimming with both excitement and trepidation. "There is much to learn of your ancestry, and knowledge is the key to the door of purpose," Eliab replied, gesturing towards the vast expanse of desert that lay before them. "Today we shall visit the elders of our people. Their wisdom is vast, and their tales are rich with the threads of our history." As they traveled through the sun-kissed sands, each step felt significant, reverberating with the promise of a future that only God could reveal. The nomads gathered in a circle as Eliab introduced Ishmael to the wise elders, their faces lined with age but lit with the fire of insight. "Here stands Ishmael, son of Hagar," Eliab proclaimed, pride shimmering in his words. The elders looked upon Ishmael, and their gazes carried the weight of ancestral ties, carrying the echoes of the past. An elder named Zimri stepped forward, his voice steady and kind. "Ishmael, son of the covenant in spirit, what brings you before us today?" With the encouragement of Eliab's presence, Ishmael spoke with the fierce resolve that had ignited within him during the vision. "I seek understanding of my lineage, my purpose, and how this intertwines with you, my kinsfolk." Zimri nodded, holding the faith of generations within his heart. "The Lord has not forgotten your mother and you. For as it is written, 'For I know the plans I have for you,' declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. The other elders murmured in agreement, their words like a balm of assurance to Ishmael's restless soul. Your very existence is a testament to God's promise. Nations will rise through you. The seed of Abraham flows through your veins, as does the legacy of your mother, who endured trials for divine purpose. Humbled by their words, Ishmael felt tears gather, not of sorrow, but of gratitude and awakening. What must I do to embrace this promise fully? He asked, his heart aflame with fervor. The elders exchanged knowing glances, as if speaking without words. Zimri finally replied, You must walk in faith, seek the face of the Lord, and honor your lineage. For every step taken in obedience brings you closer to the fulfillment of that which has been foretold. As they spoke, the atmosphere shimmered with anticipation, and an awareness of God's overarching plan filled the air. Ishmael understood that his path would not be without trials, yet each challenge would chisel away the unneeded and reveal the man God intended him to be. With the day drawing to a close and the crimson sun sinking low, Ishmael felt renewed. The weight of his destiny was not a burden, but a calling. He was the child of promise, destined to be more than a wanderer. He would be an architect of legacy. Yet a whisper lingered in his heart, an urgent question shrouded in mystery. If nations would indeed spring forth from him, how might the unfolding of such a monumental purpose confront him? What trials would he face before the fullness of God's plan was revealed? As twilight surrendered to night, the stars began to twinkle brightly above, a firm reminder that within the vast cosmos, God's sovereign promise would unfold, woven intricately through the life of a chosen son. As the cool night air enveloped the camp, the elders settled around a flickering fire, its flames dancing like the spirits of their ancestors. The stars shone brightly overhead, a reminder of the covenant God made with Abraham, as Eliab invited Ishmael to share his hardest burden. Tell us, Ishmael, what weighs upon your soul? He said, his voice gentle yet firm, like a shepherd guiding his flock. Ishmael, emboldened by the presence of the elders, began to pour out his heart. I feel the ache of my existence, a yearning to know what God desires of me. What will become of my people? How can I lead them, bearing the weight of Abraham's legacy? Zimri, with eyes reflecting the wisdom of the ages, spoke softly. In every calling, there lies a shadow of uncertainty, yet it is within that shadow that faith is forged. Remember, Ishmael, your journey is not just for you, but for those who will come after. The Lord will guide you as he did with our father, Abraham. He gestured to the heavens, and the others followed suit, their eyes lifting to the constellations. As the stars are countless, so too are the promise of your descendants, though they may not yet be visible. It is up to you to nurture that promise with faith. Ishmael felt the weight of those words settle into his spirit. A deeper understanding started to form in him, a recognition of the unseen paths that God might illuminate in due time. Yet the questions remained. How would he navigate the complexities that lay ahead? Is it enough to simply walk in faith? Ishmael asked, vulnerability spilling from his heart. What if my footsteps do not lead to the prosperity that has been spoken over my life? The elders responded with a chorus of assurance, their voices weaving a tapestry of hope. It is in the walking that destiny is embraced, dear son. The journey is fashioned in trust. Even in trials, God's hand is at work. For it is written, in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8, verse 28. Compassion swelled in Ishmael as he perceived their shared struggles, the weight of their history binding them together. Then I shall embrace my lineage. I will not shy away from the challenges that arise. I am ready to uncover the treasures hidden within my calling. As the fire crackled, Eliab rose to his feet, the flames illuminating his stature. Then let us pray for God's guidance, that he may instill within you the wisdom to navigate your path. May the Almighty grant you strength and discernment as you step out into the calling He has bestowed upon you." The elders joined hands, forming a circle, and a solemn prayer rose up, echoing the essence of their fellowship. "Lord, in the name of Abraham's seed, we ask for your favor upon Ishmael. Reveal to him the way forward. Let your voice penetrate the shadows, guiding him through uncertainty for your glory and the good of your people." As the prayer ascended like incense before the Lord, Ishmael felt something shift within him. A mantle of purpose wrapped around him, igniting an inner flame. He understood in that moment that the journey would be fraught with challenges, yet he was not alone. The divine promise rested upon him, an assurance that God was intricately involved in his narrative. Then, as the prayer concluded, a stillness blanketed the camp. The fire flickered, and in that sacred silence, there came a whisper, a voice not of the wind but of the Spirit. "Ishmael, arise and remember, the plans I have for you are a mystery yet to unfold. Trust in me as you move forward, for I will establish your steps." Abruptly, a profound sense of excitement and trepidation welled within him. What awaited him beyond the horizon? How would he fulfill this destiny destined for the sons of Abraham? In the deepening shadows, as the nights glimmered brighter with the promise of moonlight, Ishmael's heart raced. Determined to seek out God's plan, he felt a burgeoning call, a call to unite the scattered, to become a voice in the wilderness of uncertain hearts. And so the journey would not merely be his own, it would echo across generations. A path steeped in trials yet intertwined with divine purpose, beckoning him to discover the heights and depths of a promised legacy still unwritten. As dawn broke, casting a golden hue across the camp, Ishmael stirred from slumber, the weight of anticipation pressing upon him. He rose, compelled to embrace his new calling. He listened intently for the guiding whisper of the Lord, aware now more than ever that God's plan was unfolding before him. With each step toward the rising sun, Ishmael felt the air crackle with divine energy. He sought not just to lead, but to understand the depth of his purpose. Remembering the promise made to Abraham, he resolved to forge a path not only for himself, but for countless generations yet to come. A multitude awaited revelation, and he, Ishmael, was destined to uncover it. Eager to comprehend his role, Ishmael made his way to the edge of the great desert, where the whispers of the wind carried tales of old. As he stood there, he closed his eyes and recalled the words spoken by the elders. "In faith we walk," he murmured, attuning himself to the voice of the Almighty that had been revealed in the stillness of the night. Suddenly, a rush of wind swept around him, and he felt a presence, as if the very Spirit of the Lord enveloped him. He grasped the words from the book of Isaiah, echoing in his mind, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine." Isaiah 43, verse 1. This affirmation surged through him, igniting an even deeper resolve. As he sought the direction of his people, a vision unfolded before him. He saw the scattered among the nations, seeking solace, seeking purpose. In that moment, he understood the weight of leadership was not merely about guiding, but about healing. Each person carried burdens that needed bearing, just as he carried the legacy of their shared forefather, Abraham. "Where do I begin, O Lord?" Ishmael inquired, his spirit imploring for clarity. As if in answer, he saw a distant shape on the horizon, a caravan of merchants winding their way through the sandy expanse. The thought crossed his mind. The desire for unity would begin with reaching those who traveled afar, those whose own journeys were intertwined with the tapestry of his destiny. Without hesitation, Ishmael began his trek toward the traveling merchants, a vigor ignited within him. Along the way, thoughts swirled in his mind, contemplating how his identity as the son of Hagar would weave into the larger narrative of God's promises. He mused upon Genesis 17, verse 20, where God had declared blessings upon Ishmael, ensuring he would be fruitful and multiply into a great nation. As he approached the caravan, an unsettling thought broke through his resolve. What they did not receive me. He hesitated for a brief moment. Yet, echoing in his heart was Eliab's voice, reminding him that God's plan often beckons forth courage amid uncertainty. Arriving at the caravan, he called out, "Travelers, heed my voice. I am Ishmael, son of Hagar, and I bring tidings of hope." The merchants turned, some bewildered, others intrigued, recognizing the name that had stirred both honor and reproach. "Speak, son of Hagar," one elder merchant called, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. "What message do you bring us?" As Ishmael gathered his thoughts, he felt a surge of conviction fill him. A spark had ignited the first step in a journey that would echo through time. "I bring you the promise of our forefathers," he proclaimed. "We are woven together in the tapestry of God's creation, destined to rise above our past and forge a new future. As the Lord lives, He has called us to unite as a great nation, to fulfill His purpose." The air thickened with expectation as those gathered leaned in closer, thirsting for the revelation Ishmael was about to proclaim. As he spoke, the words of prophecy began to flow, each promise verified in the depths of his heart. And in that moment, Ishmael stood not merely as a son of Hagar, but as a mouthpiece of God's divine sovereignty, awakening the hope of generations. Yet as the dawn opened to a new horizon and hearts began to stir with promise, a flicker of uncertainty invaded Ishmael's thoughts. What trials lay ahead? What challenges would arise to shake this newfound unity? For in this moment of elevation came the whispered reminder of God's sovereign plan, urging him onward. The path may be fraught with tribulation, Ishmael, but remember, the greater the trial, the greater the triumph I have ordained. Thus, with the winds of the Spirit at his back, Ishmael felt the holy urging to take this first step, with a heart alive to discover what divine unfolding waited on the horizon. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, painting the desert with shades of orange and gold, Ishmael stood resolute before the caravan. The merchants, now encircled around him, sensed the divine gravity in his words. They marveled at the vigor emanating from the one whom many had overlooked, the son of Hagar, entwined in both promise and pain. "Will you speak of unity, son of Hagar?" an elder merchant inquired, his brow furrowed in thought. "How can we set aside the histories that divide us? We bear the scars of lineage, rivals in the realm of our fathers." The air grew heavy, and for a heartbeat, silence fell, the kind that speaks volumes before a divine declaration. Ishmael raised his voice, the fervor rising like the heat of the day. "The Lord has spoken to me. He desires healing amidst our discord. Remember, brothers, that the God of our ancestors is the God who sees. He called my mother Hagar out of despair and promised me greatness and everlasting covenant." As he spoke, he felt that the Spirit of the Lord poured wisdom into his heart, reminding him of Genesis, when God declared to Hagar, "I will make your descendants too numerous to count." Genesis 16, verse 10. This truth reinforced his spirit. Together, we can reflect the image of the one who laid foundations upon the earth. We are made in his likeness, and in him we find our worth. Turning to address the gathering, his eyes pierced through the veneer of disbelief. Let us not be defined by what is, but be transformed by what can be. Each step we take towards reconciliation is a step into the arms of God as promise. The winds of change blow strong, and they buffet not only against the sands of this desert, but against the very hearts of men. At the mention of winds, a gentle breeze swept through, weaving between the merchants, causing their robes to flutter lightly. They exchanged glances, each beginning to tremble with anticipation. Hope sparked in those who had felt forsaken, a recognition of a vision destined to rise. "Shall we not gather, then?" Another merchant spoke, a younger man whose eyes glimmered with the brightness of possibility. "Let us infuse our markets with faith, share in our burdens, and cultivate a harvest of unity. I, too, carry the weight of lineage, a tapestry intertwining sons who seek understanding. Can we not sow seeds of kindness, watered by love?" Praises rippled through the caravan. hearts turning to one another. The chains of their burdens lightened by the shared faith now kindled amongst them. Ishmael watched intently, sensing the Spirit move through them like a river flowing, overflowing with grace and possibility. Yet, a shadow pierced the joyous atmosphere. A voice, sharp and laced with scorn, emerged from the crowd. "And who are you to lead us? A mere son of a servant. How can the prophecy of a woman dictate the fate we hold? Your very name carries the weight of rejection." The dagger of doubt pierced Ishmael's heart. His spirit wavered as memories of isolation flooded his mind, memories of being cast out into the wilderness. But then, a thought surged forth, a reminder of God's gracious voice in the wilderness of despair. "Even the lowly shall be raised, and those cast aside shall become a beacon," Ishmael declared, bolstered by newfound strength. "Did not the Lord gather the brokenhearted, calling them unto himself? This very day he sets a table for us to partake in his grace." This is the moment to rise above our fears and to grasp truth. Are we not called to walk in faith? At this proclamation, an unseen force shook the ground beneath them. The merchants, caught in the sway of awakening, found themselves compelled toward him, their hearts softening to accept this unexpected leader. The gathering transitioned into a chorus, voices melding together in affirmation. "Ishmael, son of Hagar, we will unite in purpose, guided by the promise you carry." Yet in the depth of this unity, Ishmael sensed the lurking shadows of doubt still clinging to the edges of their resolve. He remembered the promise made to Abraham, replaying its truth in the chambers of his heart, an unyielding covenant that God would be with him, leading him through waters of trials. "Yet I know this," he shouted above the growing swell of determination. "As we march toward unity, we will face trials unforeseen. Remember, the path is not without strife, but it leads us closer to our divine destiny." As the last echoes of his voice melted into the desert breeze, an ominous wind stirred, reminding him of the battles yet to come. But Ishmael felt the weight of the promise anew, for despite the challenges, remember this: where there is unity, there is God's purpose waiting to unfold. Thus, the sun began to set, casting a powerful golden light upon a group transformed. Ishmael bore witness not just to a gathering of merchants, but to a sanctified alignment of hearts, a divine orchestration unveiling as they began their journey toward a horizon cloaked in holy mystery. And a question lingered in the air, whispering the promise of God's unfolding plan. What greater trial shall we face that lead to his ultimate triumph over adversity? As the amber hues of dusk enveloped the desert, a sense of purpose settled among the merchants, igniting their spirits with a fervor of hope. They moved as one, drawn by the strength of connection, and guided by the unshakable vision of Ishmael. His voice, echoing with divine reassurance, rang in their ears. For where there is unity, there is God's purpose. Yet turmoil brewed in the hearts of some. Among the throng stood Hammer, a merchant known for his cunning and skepticism. "Do you not see," he called, a sneer etched across his face, "the folly in this unity? The very fabric of our identities is woven with threads of division. Can we truly cast aside generations of enmity?" Ishmael, hearing the doubts spun forth from Hammer's lips, felt an urgency well within him. He boldly stepped forward, the setting sun illuminating his features, casting an ethereal glow upon him. "Hammer, friend, while history shapes us, it does not define us. Look to the days of our forefathers Abraham, who fathered us through faith, and Isaac, who inherited the lineage of promise. God Almighty worked through strife to create a tapestry of hope." As the words fell from his lips, a swell of murmurs coursed through the assembly, igniting a spark of realization. Yes, God is not bound by our past, but is ever capable of redeeming it. Ishmael continued, his voice gaining strength. "We must lay aside the chains of bitterness and gather unto ourselves the grace bestowed upon the humble. The air crackled with a mixture of tension and anticipation as other merchants nodded, the seed of faith planted deep within their hearts. It was as if each word carried the weight of their history, the promise of their future. In that moment, Ishmael recalled the covenant Yahweh had made with his father, Abraham. And I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him. Genesis 17 verse 7. This divine fidelity coursed through his veins. He was no longer just Hagar's son. He was the bearer of God's promise. Hammer, feeling the shift among the crowd, struggled to maintain his ground. But what of the land of our fathers? Is there not division even among us? The sons of Isaac and the sons of Isaac's servants? How do we find peace when discord raises its voice? Peace, Ishmael replied, meeting Hammer's gaze, is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of unity. God calls us not merely to coexist, but to align our hearts in pursuit of purpose greater than ourselves. He will lead us into a land flowing with milk and honey, a land of promise, where our hopes may flourish together. At his declaration, the atmosphere thickened with palpable expectation, as if the very heavens were holding their breath. The merchants raised their hands, hearts and voices melding into a fervent prayer, beseeching the Lord for forgiveness and reconciliation. Then, without warning, the winds howled, lifting the robes of the merchants and rustling the sands beneath their feet. A sudden vision of truth permeated the air, a reminder of the covenant of God, written not on tablets, but on the hearts of men. The presence of the divine was felt, a palpable stirring that confirmed their unity was indeed a holy calling. Hammer, struck by the sacred atmosphere encircling him, felt his heart soften amidst the fervent cries for peace. Perhaps, he uttered slowly, there is strength in our gathering. If the Lord sees us as one, who are we to challenge his will? The gathered merchants nodded, a wave of agreement washing over them like a fresh rain upon parched soil. Yet, deep in his soul, Ishmael felt a shadow caution him. Though the path before us may seem illuminated, do not forget the power gathering against us. The whispers of discord will not relent easily, and trials await, seeking to tear asunder what we have unified today. As he spoke, a distant thunder echoed, hinting at storms that lay beyond the horizon. A reminder that darkness often encroaches where light attempts to shine. Even in trials, he affirmed, remember the God of Abraham, who walks with us. And as we tread together, we shall become a mighty fortress against the onslaught, fortified by faith. The promise will not fail, as it has always been fulfilled. The crowd erupted in unison, their voices rising like an anthem to the heavens, a declaration of faith amid adversity. They were not merely a band of merchants, but a chosen nation on the precipice of divine destiny. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ink-blue sky scattered with stars, Ishmael breathed deeply, feeling the weight of their calling alongside the promise. And a question lingered in the stillness of the night, like a gentle whisper of the Spirit. What unforeseen trials must we navigate for the sake of God's glory, and how will we emerge transformed? As the new dawn broke over the desert, revealing hues of gold and crimson, a profound stirring gripped Ishmael's heart. The merchants, now united, gathered under the dimly lit glow of the first rays of morning, each bearing the weight of their past, yet filled with hope for their future. They stood before the winds of change, anticipating the divine direction that was to unfold. Ishmael raised his voice above the murmurs that floated through the assembly. Brothers and sisters, the first step into the promised land is taken not in haste, but in the grace of God's timing. Let us strengthen our hearts, for the journey requires us to embrace the unknown, knowing that the one who led Abraham will guide us still. His words settled like balm upon the eager hearts of the merchants. Yet, even as their spirits soared, Ishmael could feel the undercurrent of doubt flowing from some quarters, particularly from Hammer the skeptic whose shadow still loomed large over the assembly. Your vision may be noble. Ishmael, Hammer interjected, his voice laced with sarcasm. But what assurance do we have that the Lord will bless our steps? Will we not find ourselves lost in the wilderness, wandering like the generations before us? I see, Ishmael replied, steady in his resolve, that fear often tries to cast its mantle upon those yearning for faith. Remember this, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23 verse 1. He leads us beside still waters, restoring our souls, and even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we need not fear evil, for he is with us. At the mention of God's unwavering presence, a ripple of faith surged through the crowd, momentarily dispelling the mists of doubt. Yet, amidst their fervor, whispers of discontent still hovered on the edges of their gathering, echoing the apprehensions of those unwilling to let go of generations of division. Concerned looks shifted from face to face. The stark reality struck. The path forward would not be simple. Like the Israelites before the Jordan, they stood at the threshold of both promise and peril. And so, Ishmael, drawing strength from the memories of their forefathers, affirmed with conviction, as Abraham planted a well of covenantal promise, so shall we dig our own wells, expecting the flow of God's provision. For we are as a tree planted by the water, unshaken by the drought. He who has called us will sustain us. Suddenly, a wind stirred, a portent of things to come. The air thickened with divine energy, and a presence seemed to rest upon Ishmael, imparting clarity to the crowd. Prepare your hearts, for the Lord has spoken. There are obstacles ahead. Indeed, we must not grow weary. The trials will come to test our resolve. But remember, his promise stands true. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13 verse 5. Amidst the mounting tension, weary souls began to nod in agreement, inspired by the faith that lit the dark corners of uncertainty. Hope burgeoned. They were not just merchants, but a remnant called to reflect God's glory. As they began to discuss plans, a distant rumbling echoed once more. Yet this time, it came not from the heavens alone, but from within their own ranks. Some murmured restlessly about past grievances, quickening the pulse of discord. Ishmael, sensing the fracture threatening to re-emerge, interjected, "Hold fast to love, for love is the healing balm that binds our hearts." Unity requires sacrifice, but also births strength from vulnerability. With that, the sun fully rose above the horizon, casting light into dark places, revealing contours of what lay ahead. In unison, the merchants raised their voices in prayer, sealing their commitment to one another and to the Lord. Yet, as they prepared to depart, Ishmael caught sight of a shadowy figure watching from a distance, an omen of the struggle that lay ahead. It was a reminder that the journey of faith often comes with unseen trials, as darkness seeks to thwart divine purpose. "Brothers," Ishmael called, an intensity igniting his gaze, "we shall not move in fear, nor shall we retreat in dismay. For as we embark on this journey, the true test of our unity requires us to face adversities head-on, knowing that God has equipped us to rise." And as if spoken through a divine whisper, an overwhelming question loomed in the sacred silence. What great victory shall arise from our tribulations, and how will our faith ignite a legacy to surpass the shadows of our past? And so, under the watchful gaze of a new dawn, Ishmael and the gathered merchants embarked on their journey, hearts unified in purpose, driven by a shared desire to fulfill the covenant promise of God. As they traversed the sun-kissed sands, the path stretched out before them, a ribbon of destiny woven through the desert, fraught with both challenges and the glory of divine potential. As they walked, the air charged with expectancy, Ishmael felt a profound stirring within his spirit. He recalled the words spoken to him by the angel, resonating deep as a sacred echo. "I will make you a great nation." This promise enveloped him like a warm embrace, instilling fresh courage into his very being. Through the trials they were yet to face, he understood that they were all part of God's unfathomable plan. Their first challenge arose sooner than anticipated. As the company crossed a narrow valley, they encountered a band of raiders whose mere presence darkened the horizon. Fear threatened to encircle them, but Ishmael recalled the strength flowing through his heritage, the legacy of Abraham, and the unwavering hand of God. "Stand firm in heart," he declared, raising his voice above the rising tension. "The Lord fights for us. He is our refuge and strength." With faith ignited, they prepared to defend themselves. Ishmael, not merely a figure of promise, but a burgeoning leader, took charge. "Form a line, shoulder to shoulder, let us not falter." His commands resonated with a conviction that coursed through their hearts, allowing the spirit of unity to outweigh the fears set before them. The raiders approached, fierce and relentless, yet as the two groups collided, something miraculous unfolded. While the raiders boasted numbers and weapons, Ishmael and the merchant stood emboldened by the assurance of their God. They fought with a spirit of one, every man a steadfast pillar of faith, bolstered by their newly forged bond. In that unheard of moment, the winds began to swirl, carrying with them an unearthly sound. A chorus of voices seemed to rise from the very sands where they stood, angels joining the fray. It was a song of protection, vibrating in harmony with their own battle cries. The raiders stumbled, disoriented by a power beyond comprehension, and before long, a retreat ensued as the dust settled. A newfound awe spread among them, washing over their collective spirit like rain upon parched earth. The sun above bore witness to this moment of triumph. Ishmael recognized that this victory was indeed a divine validation. They were not simply a gathering of disparate souls, but a formidable force destined to shape the landscape before them. In that victory, God's promise unfurled further. They resumed their journey, hearts lighter and spirits bolstered. They spoke of their legacy, weaving the stories of their ancestors into a tapestry of unity, each tale a thread connecting them all. As they traveled on, Ishmael's authority as their leader took root. He was no longer merely the son of Hagar. He had become the mouthpiece through which God's purposes flowed. As they reached the edge of a great oasis, the beauty of the lush waters mirrored the transformation that had overtaken them. Here, among fresh greenery and the soothing sound of rippling water, Ishmael gathered everyone to receive the wisdom of the elders he had sought. They performed rituals of thanksgiving, recognizing how far they had come the journey, not merely a path through physical deserts, but a pilgrimage through collective pain, healing, and a resolute return to identity. "Here we stand," Ishmael proclaimed, "not defined by those who cast us away, but united by the promises bestowed upon us. For as we drink deeply of what God provides, we renew our covenant to each other and to the one who ordained us." Yet, as victory bloomed, so did shadows of uncertainty. A subtle reminder danced in Ishmael's heart, a truth spoken by his elder, Zimri. As it is written, "In all things God worked for the good of those who love him." Romans 8, verse 28. We must remain vigilant against division and doubt, for these shall always seek to infiltrate. And so, they were resolved together they would not only face what lay ahead, but embrace it as part of their purpose. Each step marked with gratitude, each decision steeped in prayer. For united, they found strength. In faith, they discovered hope. With the waters of the oasis sparkling under the sun, Ishmael and his band prepared to journey into the great unknown. The land that awaited them held the promise of nations, unity, and a legacy that transcended the mere fragments of their beginnings. They were now more than a people. They were a movement, a testament to God's relentless love and faithfulness. As twilight descended, casting a warm glow over the horizon, Ishmael paused to offer a prayer of thanksgiving. He saw the faces of those around him, once strangers, now brothers and sisters illumined by hope. "Lord, guide our steps as we forge ahead. Let our hearts remain steadfast against the trials to come. Make us vessels of your peace, for we know we are not alone, but part of a purpose vast and divine. And in that moment of fervent prayer, a light shone anew, a glimmer of what the future held, a testament that God's word never returns void. The destiny of Ishmael and his kin was unfolding before them, a mosaic of faith, unity, and the unbroken promise of God. Let every soul that finds this story flash into the flames of belief with an invitation to partake in this divine journey. For Ishmael reminds us our identity does not tether us to rejection, but propels us toward the glorious destiny that is embedded in our very existence. This is the moment to embrace that divine calling. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word. Leave a like now to help spread God's promise through the algorithm, and comment your reflections on this profound journey that has undoubtedly impacted your faith. Don't allow fear to hold you back. Share this powerful testimony instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth for themselves. Together, let us be vessels of His promise, spreading the sun's light across the world.